I'd like to show you a tangle that was basically kind of requested of me. This is a tangle that I think I developed myself. I know this pattern is out there in the world since the beginning of mankind. Basically, I found it in all of the cultures throughout history in my ornaments book. It's this one here, and I'm calling it Celtic Cable. When I worked up this polygon of the dragonfly, I wanted to put this, I had envisioned this already, and I wanted it also mimicked here in the body of the dragonfly. So I just went to my sketchbook and tried figuring out how to do it in an easy way to make it a Zentangle. And this is how I'm going to show you how I do it. I don't know, honestly, if there is someone else out there who has done this, because I can't search for the name since I don't know if there is this tangle out there. I can show you my sketchbook. Here's some few samples of how I was working it up with dark centers, light centers, with larger centers so that you could actually put fragments in there as well. So I'm going to show you my basic tangle, Celtic Cable, and I hope you enjoy it as much as I do. I think you find it very versatile, and I'm going to draw it today on the circle. We're going to make something that will look like this. This would become this if I finished the whole piece, but I'm really just going to step out, show you how I do the Celtic Cable tangle. I just took my compass and made a few circles because I do want to add a gem in here like the other piece, and I need a rim around there to facet the gem. So this is I'm going to do this division, kind of a string in pencil, just to get it sort of even. And here's what I'm doing on this little circle. I'm going to do a small orb, trying to place it as much between these two lines in the center as I can. And I'm going to do this basically like a clock at all four sections, and then two more spaced evenly in here. So it would be 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock, 4 and 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Okay, so that one is a little bit close, so I'm going to go ahead and redo this section. That's why I'm doing this in pencil. That should work, and this one could also come over a tiny bit. So the more exact you are about your spacing on this circle, the easier it's going to be. This tangle is a lot easier to do on a band. It would be a great tangle for ribbons in any kind of band situation, but I want you to learn how to finesse this on the circle, which is a little bit harder. So I'm going to take my PN pen, and on my Zentangle tile, that's what I'm using today, just a standard Zentangle tile. And I'm going to go ahead and ink out those orbs now that I think they're pretty well placed. Oh, I guess I can also, well, I'm not going to ink this out because I might want to. If you look at this one, I could have inked out the circle and then filled in the background black, but I kind of wanted it to look more like a brooch. So this time I'm going to just leave it open. So here's what we're doing. And again, I'm going to do this in pencil just because I think I might need to correct. And it basically goes like this. We're just going to draw kind of a flat S curve towards the left, starting around halfway on this side of the orb, driving around it, and S. And you can play with the variation of this by how much you curve or how flat your initial stroke is. And you do want to kind of practice this because it gets easier and easier the more you practice to get a more even. Okay, now that I'm not happy with, so I'm going to erase that. And I'm going to try that again. That's a little bit much of an S, but that's okay. I'd rather it curve than be too flat. So there's our initial division. And it's really actually pretty simple. Then all we're going to do is the same thing, but from the other side. So now we're going to start here at the top and do the exact same thing, trying to keep that sort of even in width. See that? This one could be a little more curved. Since we are working on a circle, there is that little bit of distortion. So now to make this into what looks like a Celtic cable, and finish off the top of my cable. And as you can see, I am in this case bowing out a little bit past my circle. That's why I'm doing this in pencil. I want it to be very similar in width, both at the top and at the bottom. I actually do some Celtic knotwork. I have a class that I did called Hearts Entangled, and that was a really fun Celtic heart that we did. Okay, so that looks pretty good, actually. I'm just going to go clean that up a little bit, and then I'll ink it out, and then I can erase my pencil lines. I'm using my 01 Micron pen from Sakura to do that. So, again, S-curve. Very much like many of the tangles that we know, Cadent and Well have the same stroke going on. It's a really nice rhythm. I love those S curves. And now we're just going to go back and do the other direction. So, and we have one more step. So it's basically, let's see, the circles are 1, 2, 3, joining 4, 5. It's basically a 5-step tangle. This is number 4. one here. So why do I say 5-step? We're not really done because we still have to finish off this side of our braid with just making kind of a little triangle in that corner, imagining that the line is coming underneath here. And then these little triangles, we can fill them out. You could leave them open if you want it to look like there's air between there. Here's a chance to kind of correct your curves. And I'm going to save these out, and I'm not going to fill these in. You could also fill those in black. That would look sort of like this. And then you could also add a sparkle or a highlight to make it look like a jet bead. You could leave it open like this. And now I'm just going to show you how I would shade this. Wherever the braid is crossing over, so this one's on top of this braid, so we're going to put a little drop shadow here. One here. That's just going to lift those two braids from each other, giving that atmospheric perspective, looking like there's air in between them, and make them believably three-dimensional. I'm going to get one of my tortillons out that I have, and I'm just going to blend that into the lighted area. Kind of using an eyelash stroke for that. This one has a little bit of graphite from just cleaning up that initial graphite drawing. This could use a little bit more darkness. So we want to complete that look of the weaving going over and under, so we're going to do the same thing to the other side. This would be on top of this, creating a little bit of drop shadow, right? So we have a really nice, bright, light, highlighted area in the middle there. That's where it would be reaching up and over and into the light, and that's why it's a whole lot lighter. Also kind of like finessing that graphite around the gemstone, the mini gemstone that I will color in another tutorial for you. But today I'd like you to concentrate on learning the cable pattern. Okay, there's Celtic Cable by Annie Reiser, CZT. I am going to show you one other way to vary that, which is really fun, and that would be making the circle, the initial circle, a lot larger and the cable part a lot thinner. So for this variation, I'm going to go ahead and just do a band on a Zentangle tile. The band is basically my string. And I am going to stick with my pencil and do my orbs very large this time. And I'm going to stick with my pencil in case I want to make some corrections again. So I'm going to drive around, maybe start at the top, drive around, and flat orb, or flat S curve. Turn it around. Do the same thing from this side. See how much thinner that cable part is. And then we're going to join our cables. So we're going to pretend we see how this is going underneath and then coming back under the bridge. Same way with this. Here we have, so I would correct that here a little bit. This one's going like this and underneath. Jumping off here, going underneath the bridge. I corrected this one a little bit. But so it makes for a much nicer, more even braid. I'm going to go ahead and ink this out. I think this pattern is well worth practicing to get it really even. And it does take some practice. So there we would have like our links, and I will show you, I worked this one up on a zendala. It's just kind of like a Zen button. I just made circles with my compass, and I'm saving out this area and all of these to demonstrate how I'm doing gemstones. So what we will do, I'm going to show you how I make this little pattern in here. You can put any fragment in here that you want. It's very fun to play around with. I'm just going to, just for guidelines, I'm going to make myself a little cross, trying to divide them into equal quarters. And I'm going to take my O1 to do my aura line. And draw my little mini gem. Just another orb in there. And then I like to, you can either fill in here, or in both places. I like to fill this area around the gem in dark because then it helps it just pop. So that's just one fragment idea. And as I told you before, you can put all kinds of different fragments in there. Here's a few samples. This is just a little floret, or maybe a 3D printemps. This is a pattern that I use on my Ukrainian Easter eggs. And then here's just a simple little kind of flower or daisy. So there is Celtic Cable. I'll put the finished piece here. Well, I hope you enjoyed Celtic Cable, and show me some of your creations on my Annie's Botangle Facebook page, and I look forward to tangling with you next time. Bye-bye. That's it for today's Tangle. Thanks for joining me. If you like these lunchtime tutorials, please give them a thumbs up and subscribe to my YouTube channel. I also invite you to check out my website for classes that I have scheduled or to purchase my Tangle tags for your favorite step outs. That's bowtangle.net. I'm leaving you with some other links too. Zentangle.com, where you can learn more about the Zentangle method from its founders, Rick Roberts and Maria Thomas. You can also visit their store there for a multitude of Zentangle paper tiles, tools, books, and kits. TanglePatterns.com is that site I talk about where you can explore hundreds of Tangle patterns, read about them, and get the step out, which is basically the deconstruction of the pattern. And finally, if you'd like to share your beautiful results with me and my student community, please join Annie's Bowtangle Alumni Facebook page. We're a private group where we inspire each other with our work and offer tips and useful information about art and Zentangle.